Welcome to the channel, folks. Mr. H here for a different kind of videos. So, I saw this news, this one right here. Just Cause video game movie lands John Wick writer. I didn't even know this was a thing. So what I wanted to do was just discuss this article, go through to the brand new Deadline report, and just talk our way through it, really. Because I've spoken about how the industry is headed a lot recently. We had Detective Pikachu. We knew how it was going to be tracking. And then we had Sonic movies start to come out and things like this. We're seeing a real resurgence in Hollywood attempting video game adaptations. That's without a shadow of a doubt. They've never really stopped, and that's really important to note. But we're seeing a resurgence in it. And I think the likes of the Detective Pikachu movie is allowing for that resurgence. It's allowing for Hollywood to have that level of confidence. So I thought this would be interesting because Just Cause is a video game property which you would have expected to have been adapted by now. But now it really, really is getting a push. So, as this states, the widely popular Just Cause video game series is getting a movie adaptation from John Wick writer Derek Kolstad. Now, it says, blah, 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 even though video game adaptations have a supposed curse on them, which is yes and no. A lot of people don't realise, right, Detective Pikachu's done really, really well. And it's a really good video game adaptation. And a lot of people don't realise that they've literally just taken the story of the video game Detective Pikachu, because that is a video game. And they've literally just taken it. And a lot of people don't realise that. That's the reason why it's done so well, because they had a story and they essentially just did the story. There's some changes here and there, but for the most part, that's the story. So they did really well with it. So it says there have been some failed attempts in the past, but there are several other properties in development with potential, and now Just Cause can be added to the list, again, which is the truth. The first Just Cause video game launched in 2006 and introduced gamers to a brand new open-world action-adventure franchise, which is story-driven. That's important, it's story-driven. So it's dependent whether they're going to take this and do the story, basically, or not. That's how I think this will be hinged on success. So the story follows Rico Rodriguez, an operative for the agency, as he's sent on dangerous, world-saving missions, mostly to stop a group known as the Black Hand. Sounds very Tomb Raider, doesn't it? Sounds very, very Tomb Raider. So, according to a new Deadline report, Just Cause franchise is now hoping to head to the big screen. This is important because there's some really big players. So, the feature adaptation of the game will be written by Derek Kolstad, who's best known for writing all 3 films in the John Wick franchise. So that's really positive. That really does have a... If we're looking at John Wick, right? Let's look at John Wick as a film property. What does John Wick do really, really well? Action. Steady world building. Now, whatever you think of the world building, it does the world building very, very well. Whether you choose to kind of subscribe to the theory that, you know, the world is actually good or not in John Wick, that's kind of besides the point. But they do world building really, really well. And they also do fight choreography on a video game level. Really, really, really well. So that's good. That's really, really good. Now, obviously, Derek Kolstad doesn't write in very specifically, or I can't imagine anyway, the fights into the scripts. You don't tend to have fights written into scripts. You have, you know, rough outlines. So obviously then for it to go onto that level, they'd have to get the same fight choreographer and director of photography and things like that. But this is very, very good. And now this is where we go. Big players. The film hails from Constantine Film after striking a deal with Avalanche Studios and Square Enix. So the game studio themselves are on board, which is great. That's really good news. That's really, really good news. Constantine Film reportedly hopes to move quickly on the project to find a director and star with a 2020 start to production eyed. Now that means realistically, that we could actually see this film in theatres. If it's a 2020 production, say, I don't know, roughly around springtime, for instance. If it's roughly around springtime, we've got the start of the new financial year, so, 2014 April, sorry. Well, I've got 2014 in my head. We could probably see the Just Cause video game movie being actually released. Again, if it's a spring 2020 production date, we could probably see it as early as 2021, that's an insane turnaround. But that's realistic. That is genuinely realistic. You've got 3 to 6 months shoot, 3 months post-production, editing. We could see it 2021 without a shadow of a doubt. And this would capitalize. If I'm a studio here, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to go, right, okay, we've got the John Wick writer. John Wick 4 has already been announced, so that's already coming to us, right? It's been announced, it's been confirmed. Chapter 4 is coming, and it's actually coming 2021. So if I'm a marketer here, I'm going to capitalize on these big names. I'm going to say, think about my marketing strategy for this film. Just Cause, the awesome video game now being adapted by John Wick, writer. It's going to be everywhere. Search engines. That's going to massively help the marketing strategy. So I would imagine they're eyeing for a 2021 release. If they get this started in 2020, we will have, I'll say it now, I'm 90% certain it'll be a 2021 release. Outside of extenuating circumstances. Now it says the timing of this announcement is noteworthy on several fronts. First of all, Hiram Kolstad to pen the script for Just Cause movie would be a massive action blockbuster. Comes on the heels of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, of course. Being incredibly well received. His ability to build a world, which I've already just mentioned, from the ground up, and familiarity with action films will go a long way with Just Cause. Absolutely. A lot of what I've just said. Constantine Films will need to find an action-orientated director to bring those elements to life. That's not hard. There's a dime a dozen. It also comes after Kolstad was previously announced to be writing Saints Row, another video game adaptation. I did not know this. With director F. Gary Gray, based on the urgency of Constantine Films, Just Cause could take precedence for Kolstad. I think that's probably the case. Not only does the pairing of Kolstad and Just Cause appear to be right on paper, but it's likely not a coincidence that this was announced after Pokemon Detective Pikachu had the biggest opening weekend for a video game adaptation movie. The live-action film was able to receive mostly positive reviews to go along with its strong box office performance, and now that one success has happened, every studio and video game property wants in. Absolutely, that's what happens. So let's take a look at the original Deadline report, because I think this will be interesting. Let's see how this lines up here. So the exclusive, Constantine Films has acquired the feature film rights to the hit video game franchise. So that would have happened very, very quickly then. I don't think there's anything. Okay, so yeah, Square Enix are on board to executive produce. We've got Robert Kulzer and Prime Universe Films, Adrian Ascaria, Constantine Films, Martin Maskowitz. Big names, like quite reasonable big names, to be fair. Interesting. Kolstad is repped by APA, Circle Confusion, and Bear. Okay, so Nick Hanks broken on behalf of Constantine, which turned the video game Resident Evil into a hit franchise. Steady on. I know they have their fans, but they also have their overwhelming detractors. With that franchise, director Paul W.S. Anderson turning Monsanto video game franchise next. Okay, so there's no new information even from the Deadline report. I would have thought there was some snippets here and there. But there you go. Just Cause is coming to us from John Wick, eyeing for a 2020 production date, which again, to me, I'll say it now, 90% certain they will be looking for a 2021 release. It would make sense. They capitalise on John Wick, the name. You've got to think of multiple facets when we're looking at marketing. SEO is a huge one. John Wick, writer, blah, blah, blah. And if he's penning the script for John Wick Chapter 4, then of course, again, massively of course. So what do you think about this? Do you think Just Cause could be adapted? Do you think it's good to be adapted? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you are new here, guys, please do hit subscribe. I don't always do videos like this. I don't tend to be in them very much. But I wanted to just give a rundown of this because I find this to be quite interesting. So, yeah, let me know down below. Hit subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like and a share. And guys, I've been Mr. H, and I will catch you in the next video. I've not said that for a while, have I? Jesus Christ. But yes, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.